What is going on, guys? No More Wide here today. Today I have a little bit of a different video for you guys. Obviously you can tell I am not in my garage. I am just driving the Lexus around, and while I was doing that I figured I might tell you guys a few things that I like and a few things that I maybe not hate, but you know, I dislike, I guess, about this car. Usually people make a list of 5 things, but really there's a lot of things that I like about this car, and there's not really many things I dislike about it, but I will try to pick something, I guess. I'll start with probably the things that I like about this car. The first thing that I like about this car is probably an odd choice, as most people probably won't even think about it, but for me, the number one thing that I like, well, not the number one thing, but a thing that I like about this car, and I've always liked about these cars, is the gauge cluster. It kind of looks like a, I don't know, a really fancy watch, I guess, if you would say that. And some people think it's a little cluttered and whatnot because there's multiple gauges within gauges, and it just looks like there's a lot going on. But for myself, I tend to like it. I like the layout of it. I like how it looks at night. I like the backlight colors, and obviously you can change them and do all that kind of stuff with them. The cluster that I really like, or would love to get a hold of, is the JDM cluster, which is a Altezza cluster. And the really rare ones have the tachometer that's in the middle, which I think is really cool. But overall, even the US ones, I just like the way they look and the way it's presented. The second thing I would like about this car is just the looks alone. This car is pretty iconic. Not too many people like the looks of them too much, and unfortunately the taillights of these cars is probably what sparked a whole revolution of Altezza taillights, which is awful on a, you know, it's just terrible if you ask me. But I don't know, you can go Google that and see what they look like, and you guys can see if you like them or not. But just the looks alone of this car, it's a simple car. Even being a 4-door, I know a lot of people like coupes and whatnot, but the 4-door looks good. They look good lowered. You can just do a few tasteful mods to the body, you know, like a spoiler, or I mean, even if you're into body kits, there are some pretty nice looking kits out there for these cars. But overall, it's a pretty timeless look. They still look pretty relevant today. They don't look old or dated, and you can do so many things to the outside of these cars. It's you know, it's crazy. Obviously with custom body parts and carbon fiber, you can do fiberglass pieces, you can do whatever you want to them, and I think they look pretty cool. However you want to dream them up, you can probably go out and buy pieces for them that are already made that way. So I think they do look pretty cool. And I mean, there's multiple different wheels you can choose from. I mean, you can go all out with them, which I think is pretty cool. Lastly, or the third thing I think that is probably why everybody likes these, is they have a 2JZ engine, and for me, it's great. I mean, they sound amazing, especially when you put intakes on them. Obviously you can turbo them, you can do all sorts of things to these engines. Not too many people run nitrous on them, but I mean, who doesn't like the sound of a good turbo 2JZ engine? They have plenty of aftermarket support for these motors. Unfortunately, the ones in the IS300, the rods and the pistons are a little bit weaker than the GTE motors, but it's still fine. They'll still support, you know, 400 horsepower, no problem, provided, you know, they get tuned right and everything. But these engines are pretty much bulletproof. There's not really many issues with them. They're made very strong. They're very smooth engines. Yeah, they're just, overall, they're great motors. So if you are definitely in the market to look at an IS300, and majority of them by now probably have close to 200,000 miles on them, unless you find some that have a pretty low amount of miles on them. I mean, definitely go ahead and grab that one, but most of them have pretty high mileage on them by now, or what I would consider high mileage, 200,000. Some of them have 250,000 miles on them, and that's just what it is because they're older cars and they've been driven for so long, so kind of can't really get around that. But even if you are looking at one that has that many miles on it, chances are if it's been taken care of, you know, it'll probably run another 100,000 miles no problem. So I think that Supras and IS300s and even the GS300s, SE300s, all of them with this 2JZ engine, I think they're pretty known for reliability, and I don't think there are many faults to these engines. So yeah, definitely go out and try and grab yourself one. I definitely like this car, like I said, and I like driving it every day and just, you know, cruising around. But there are some things that kind of irritate me, and they're not really things that I you know, wouldn't buy this car for because of them, but there are some things that kind of annoy me. And the number one thing that probably annoys me the most when I'm doing my oil changes, I really dislike the location of the oil filter. It's on the side of the block, which is, you know, up underneath the intake manifold, so unless you have pretty small hands and small arms, it's kind of hard to get to it from the top. You can, but it's just irritating. But even so, when you take it off, it literally just pours all the oil straight down onto the engine mount, onto like the steering rack. It just dumps a bunch of oil all over everything, and it just gets all disgusting. There are relocation kits for it, but still, from the factory, if you don't want to mess with it, man, it's just a mess. And if you try to do your oil changes at home, chances are you're gonna, you know, trip oil all over the place and just get it everywhere. So that definitely annoys me, because, you know, I do drive this car quite a bit, so I do have to change the oil pretty frequently. But yeah, that probably bugs me the most. But driving the car is great. The next thing I think that I would hate about this car or dislike is the fact that this wasn't the automatic. If you're a manual, obviously this won't apply to you, but the ones with the E-shift that, you know, have the buttons on the steering wheel that you can shift, you're allowed to shift up and down, which is great. However, when you come to a stop, it will not let you go into first gear at all. It just stays in second gear, and you get the annoying beeping. I mean, I can push this button as much as I want, it'll never go into first gear. Like right now I'm in second gear in a little bit of traffic, and even though the car is not in second gear, it says it's in second gear, it's really not. When you're starting out from a light, it's in first. I don't know why it just won't let you select first gear. It has to do the 1-2 shift for you, and then after that you can manually shift the 2-3, 3-4, and 4-5 shift, which I don't understand why they just couldn't allow me to go to first gear. I mean, what's the point of having the manual mode if you can't even go to first gear if you want to? I don't know why they decide to make it that way. I don't know if it's to save the transmission, or I honestly couldn't even think about why I would be doing this, but nonetheless, that is what it is. Maybe there's aftermarket modules that allow me to go to first gear or not. I don't know. I probably will have to find one, but aside from that, it's pretty annoying. I mean, I'm not racing around in manual mode all the time anyway, but when I do want to use it, it would be nice to be able to go to first gear. So maybe one of you guys know if there's a module out there that will allow me to do that or not. Last thing, which really I was just trying to find things to go on this list, because like I said earlier, there's not really many things wrong with this car, at least that I found in the 3 years of owning it, that annoy me that much. Mainly it's just the oil filter being in a stupid spot. But I think the third thing, if I had to pick something, considering the people who like these cars tend to be younger kids, maybe in their early 20s or 25-ish, somewhere around there, the miles per gallon, or the gas mileage of this car sucks. I mean, I don't think people realize that going into this car. Like, yeah, it's cool and you can have it and drive it around. I mean, for me, I'm not really worried about it. Cars take gas. I know that. You have to drive them. It is what it is. But for someone who might be you know, conscious about that type of stuff, this car gets really bad gas mileage, I think. It only gets around, I mean, the most I've ever gotten out of this car is about 21 miles on the gallon, and maybe 22, and that was on a long drive, like an 8-hour drive, just cruising down the freeway. And I feel that that's the best chance you have to get good gas mileage, but that's all I was able to muster out of it. I was driving like 70 miles an hour down the road, so I don't think that that's great for what this is. I mean, this car makes 215 horsepower stock. It's a 3-liter. It's a 6-cylinder. I mean, maybe that's what it's supposed to be. I know it's no hybrid, but it's definitely not that great. I usually get around, I don't know, maybe 19 miles per gallon, sometimes even 18. And then this car also takes premium gas, which is, you know, 91 in my area. But still, obviously we know gas isn't very cheap. So for someone who's getting into this, or a kid or something who's getting into this car, and they got to drive it around and stuff, they might find that the gas bill is a lot higher than what they thought it would be. So yeah, I mean, that's just something to think about, I guess. But yeah, overall, I mean, I can't fault this car. It for an everyday car to just get in and drive it, and even if you don't modify it or do anything to it, they're really comfortable cars. It's got a lot of features. It looks really good even on the interior as well. I mean, obviously you'll probably change your radio and stuff like that because, you know, it's dated and the stuff's a little old now, but nonetheless, you can still pick one of these up and have a relatively drama-free car to drive around every day if that's what you want to do. And then obviously you can modify these things, I don't know, as much as you want, I guess. There's a huge aftermarket support for this car. Suspension, wheels and tires, brakes, engine mods. I mean, there's a plethora of things you can do, which is great. But I don't know, that's just my list of 3 things that I like and dislike about this car. If you agree with them, I mean, let me know in the comments. If it's something that you find that I said is wrong or whatever, I mean, let me know in the comments as well, I guess. But I know this is a different kind of video for you guys, and I'm just trying out different things. As you know, the channel's pretty new, and if this is something you guys like to see, me ranting about whatever, then, you know, let me know. If you want me to just shut up and do work, then hey, let me know, that's fine. But I really thank you guys for checking out the channel and showing me some support. I've been growing slowly, but it's still growing, and it's because of you guys watching the videos, and I really appreciate it. So the next video that's coming out, I'm pretty sure you guys will like. I've been working on a few things in the background, trying to get some stuff together for you guys, and so far things have been coming together nicely. The weather sucks here though. I've been trying to film, but I really just can't do anything outside because it's just been raining so much lately. But did get a little bit of break in the weather, which is good, so that's why I'm out here now, just driving around, enjoying it while it's still sunny out and not all rainy. But nonetheless, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Until then, peace.